Hello, everybody, and welcome to Your Money Story. I am host Renita Young, and today on the show we have Lakisha Simmons. She's an analytics professor at Belmont University in Nashville who became financially free. And get this, she brought up, or saved rather, $750,000 in 4 years. That was her net worth, and she's on the track to be a millionaire next year. So we're going to find out how she did it and some of the things that led her up to this very huge change in her life. So hang on for a second. Let me invite her in. She's almost here, guys. Dr. Lakisha Simmons. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a lovely Friday here in New York City. How is it where you are?
It is raining. It's actually
Uh,
storming pretty good outside today
oh my
in
gosh. So
Nashville.
we have a lot of rain coming this weekend too. I'm kind of bummed out about that because of the long weekend, but it's okay because, we could use just the time to chill anyway. But we should start with your money story. And so, from what I understand, you didn't grow up with, a lot of wealth. A lot of us don't. But you had teen parents, pardon me, in Indianapolis. And so tell me, what was your relationship with money growing up?
Money was scarce,
Mm,
to put it lightly, but we had love, right? So we had barbecues in the backyard, and for birthdays, we all got together and made dinner or made dessert. So we found ways to, even though we didn't have much money to spend, we found ways to spend time with family and still enjoy life. And so that's how I grew up with money. And that's really been my mindset with money, is about experiences and then enjoying myself and to treat myself every once in a while. But for the most part, I like to stay pretty frugal.
stay pretty frugal. And I think it's pretty cool that you're doing that now, even though you're almost a millionaire. We're going to get to that in a moment. But you had a turning point after your first marriage ended, unfortunately.
Mhm.
What was that turning point?
Yeah. I realized that, I went to college. I was able to go to college, first generation, because my mom dropped out of high school. My dad did graduate high school, but he went off to the Marines. And so once I went to college and got that job, I started living the quote unquote American dream. So I,
Hmm.
you know, got the big house, got a nice car, took the vacations. But then once, unfortunately, it didn't work out with my husband, we decided that I would keep the family home since the children would be with me mainly. We share them, but they would mainly live with me. And I realized, oh crap, this mortgage is 2410 a month.
Hmm.
That's a big mortgage.
Hmm.
And when you have two incomes and you both graduated college and you're thinking this is what you're supposed to do, this is the American dream, that's what you do. But that turning point for me was, oh no, when I started looking at the budget and looking at the numbers, they didn't make sense anymore with my income and all the expenses. And I said, what am I going to do? And
My
so,
goodness. And I
yeah,
just need to say that 2,400 in Nashville back then, that's a heck of a lot more,
it
because
is.
the cost of living is so much cheaper than where I am now in the Northeast. So I can only imagine how stretched you might have felt at that moment.
Exactly. Very stretched.
Okay. And so then you discovered the fire concept. Tell me how you started your journey to financial freedom.
Yes. So I'll never forget that evening. It was December 2016, going into the new year, and I was alone in that big house. The boys were with their dad bringing in the new year, and I was on my own. And I said, what am I going to do here? There's a new year coming, going through a divorce. What am I going to do? And so I was very sad that night. I was alone. But the next day I woke up, I said, it's a new year. I've got to make a change. And I started searching the internet and saying, what can I do? as a woman to be financially independent, because I knew I didn't want to be in this situation anymore where I'm strapped for cash. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. It doesn't make sense to do that. And, you know, being a professor, having a PhD, why am I living paycheck to paycheck? So I started looking up, should I sell my house? Should I rent? What should I do with this house? And that's when I came across the FIRE movement. Financial independence, retire early. And if you've heard of it, type in the comments if you've heard of the FIRE movement, because I want to know who's heard of it. And so that allowed me, and I just went down this rabbit hole, Renita, seriously, and I learned every single thing I could learn about the FIRE movement. And essentially what it means is putting your focus on investing more money instead of spending as much as you're spending. So invest more so that you can eventually live off of your nest egg that's in the stock market. That's essentially what it is. And so that's what I did. And the first thing that the people in the FIRE movement, with most of them, not all of them, most of them would say, sell the big, huge house because it's just a money suck, right? You get something more modest, or rent, especially if you plan to travel, you know, or if you don't have children, you might want to just rent and move around. So I decided to go ahead and sell the house and rent until I could figure out what my next move was. But I needed to get from under the $2,400 a month mortgage and reduce that expense, because it was the largest expense on my budget. And so there I was on fire from that point on.
On fire for fire. I like it.
Yes.
And so you also made some goals. And I want to know, you picked up side gigs too at some point. What were some of the side gigs that you had?
Yes. So that, I recommend that to everyone. Think about what specific or unique skills that you have. What's something that's really special about you that you can share with the world to help them? And that's probably your number one side hustle. So for me, I was a professor, but I also was a woman in corporate America. And I was a Six Sigma black belt, okay, for Caterpillar Financial. Caterpillar Inc. is where I got my black belt. And so I decided, how can I use this to teach other women how to excel in the business world? And so I wrote a book called The Unlikely Achiever. And in that book, I have actual pictures of me doing body language, teaching you how to hold your hands, what to do, what facial expressions to use, how to move your body to look like a leader, to exude leadership, and to run a meeting, and how to negotiate, which is a big one for women. How do you negotiate? And so I put all that into the book, and it's available on Amazon. Plug The Unlikely Achiever. So that was one thing. And then I started doing workshops with women to teach them these things hands-on. And so you can find all those workshops on my website as well, especially about money. And so that helped me grow my nest egg, because all of the extra money from my side hustle would go into the stock market. So I really highly recommend that you think about what's unique for you and how you can teach others and help others, and package that into your side hustle.
Now, you also cut out a lot more expenses, as well as a very personal one for us ladies and gentlemen. You started to do your own hair and cut your son's hair. But what were some other things that you did to try to save money? Grocery shopping, things like that?
Yes, absolutely. So what I recommend people do is go through your budget line by line. Put every single thing in that budget and go line by line and say, how can I reduce this? Figure out a way to challenge yourself. So one of the first things that I saw, that I was spending a lot of money on groceries. And I remember growing up, my mother shopped at Aldi and Save a Lot. And everything was delicious that she made. And so I said, let me get back to that. So I started shopping at Aldi again. And they have gluten-free options. They have organic produce. I mean, I've been so happy shopping there. And it just really slashes my grocery bill, especially with two boys. Phone bill. Don't be afraid of the prepaid. They're actually good. I use a prepaid plan that I've used for several years. And I just haven't had any issues any different than I would have with a name brand company. Okay. So think about that. You have to really think outside of the box with these sorts of things. I save a lot of money by shopping on Amazon for things like toothpaste, toilet paper, paper
Mm-hmm.
towels, which we try not to use. We use cloth, but
Okay.
you need paper towels sometimes to clean something from the
Mm-hmm.
floor, different things. But that saves, because then I'm not going to a big box store and then I end up coming out with $200 worth of stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how did that happen?
It happens.
So
It
yeah.
definitely does. So that's pretty interesting though. I'm wondering though, it sounds like you do, but I need to hear it. Do you still do these things now that you're an
Oh
almost
yeah.
millionaire? Okay.
Yes, I keep my living expenses around $36,000 a year.
Wow.
And that's because I decide what is important to me. What do I value? And that's what I really challenge everyone to do. Think about what you value in life. Um, what is it that you truly value? For me, I value time with family, which is so interesting because that's how I grew up, with those backyard barbecues. Or if
Right.
it's someone's birthday, we're going over their house.
Mm-hmm.
And so that just being around each other, laughing and joking, or watching a movie together, or award shows coming on. And so since that's what I value, I figured out that shopping a lot, I don't really value that. I was doing it mainly because it was something to do, or I just had the money, or I see some advertisement and then I just go buy it, but I wasn't thinking about it. And
Hmm.
so now I'm just more aware of what I buy and when I buy it. So I just buy things that are timeless, that I can have forever, that I'll save up for something in particular that I want, so that I don't make impulse purchases,
Mm-hmm.
right? But things that'll last. Think for the boys, and I'm not afraid to say this, and I've already told the boys for their summer play clothes, because summer's here. They're boys and they play hard. They do sports, and they already know we're going to the Goodwill to get them a bunch of just t-shirts and
Mm-hmm.
shorts to play in for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And they're completely okay with that. They don't
Good.
mind it. But for church clothes and things like that, we'll get something nice that will last and that will pass down to the other brother. But there's no reason to just get all expensive clothes that they're just going to get dirty, all summer. So
Absolutely.
it's
I
making those types
understand.
of decisions.
Very good. And just being strategic about,
Mm-hmm.
how much you value the things that, you do have, where is it going, how much it needs to last. And so
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about your investment strategy here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, contrary to the traditional ways of building wealth, which many folks say are just saving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot more people have been going the route of institutional investors and getting more invested in the stock market. And so you have a specific strategy that you use. What's your investment strategy?
I do. This is a strategy that anyone can start with. And the first part of it is, it's a three-part strategy. Number one, you have to reduce your expenses. So that's what we've been talking about so far. So if you've missed that, make sure you go back and watch the replay. You have to do that first to find money to invest. The second thing is maxing out your 401k at work. Some people have a 403b, or some people have a 401a, or there's some different options depending on where you work, but you want to max that out. And the reason is because it lessens your taxable income. So when you get your paycheck, let's say your paycheck is, $5,000 for the month, and you want to invest $1,000 into your, or let's say $500 into your 401k, that comes off first before
Hmm.
taxes. So it lessens your taxable income. You actually bring more money home by investing, because then you have
Hmm.
your savings, your investing savings, and you pay less taxes today. So that helps you out that way. And then that money grows tax free until you're ready to retire.
Hmm.
And that is gold. People are not maxing out their workplace retirement account. They're not doing it. I'm talking to people daily and they say, well, I just didn't know what to do.
Hmm.
I just don't know what to invest it in. So that's how we get to part three. Part three is knowing what to invest in. So I'll just tell you what I did. You make your
Okay.
own decisions. But for me, I chose the S&P 500 index fund. And
Okay.
you can also do the total stock market index fund. And then, so that's for your equities, or your quote unquote stocks or equities. And then you want to kind of smooth out the ride. And so then you want to also purchase bonds, and there's bond funds. So you can decide your allocation. If if you're not retiring for 20 or 30 years, you can be more aggressive with your index funds in the stock market and maybe do 85% index funds in your S&P 500 and maybe 15% in bonds. And as you get closer to your retirement age and building up that nest egg where you want it to be, you can scale back and do a little less equities and a little more bonds. And that just helps you so that if there is a major drop closer to the time that you're retiring, you won't see such a drop in your account.
Got it. Got it. And so to do all these things, you use some very specific tools. What do you use?
Yeah, so one of the tools that I use that hands down you got to get started with is a personal capital dashboard. So personal capital, and I am so happy that they heard my story in People Magazine and they reached out to me and said, would you please be a financial hero? And I was so humbled by that. That was just, I said, me, girl of teen parents, just, struggle growing up. And now I'm a financial hero. And so I love sharing this story because if this is going to help other people say, you know what, I can invest too, then hey, I'll be it. So Personal Capital has free financial tools on their website, free. And so I started using it in 2018, January 2018, I think, is when I started using it. And it basically allows you to track, you can track your spending in it. But what I mainly use it for is tracking my net worth. So I put all of my accounts in it, and you can go to my website, LakishaSimmons.com, or in the link in my bio. I have all kind of free tools. You'll see a link that says freebies. So click on the freebies link and you'll see all the free tools, and the Personal Capital tool is there, and all the other tools that I have that will help you get started on your financial journey.
Congratulations on being named the Personal Capital Hero. You're joining the ranks of wellness icon Deepak Chopra and Baron Davis, pro basketball all-star. And so what you said how it made you feel, but what does it truly mean to you to be able to be such an ambassador?
So humbled. It's a duty of mine. I feel like this is a job that God has given me to do, and I'm all for it. Because the way I grew up with very little. We grew up very humble, but my family, they had so much love, and they still, and I want to help others get on their financial journey and reach their financial independence number, whatever that is. It varies for everyone. And so this is a role I don't take lightly. I don't take it lightly. And so thank you for having me here on the show so that I can share with others and help them on their journey to financial independence.
Great. And I should mention that Personal Capital is an Empower company. Empower might sound familiar because it is a fund manager. A lot of retirement funds are managed through Empower. And so what I want to know also is about your book. You mentioned it earlier, The Unlikely Achiever. It's 11 Steps to a Happy and Prosperous Life. And so it's really a workbook for women, and really men can do it too, to gain more self-awareness, build self-esteem. You have photos of body language in there as well. And so you also mentioned these 3 things that you need to do every day to be successful and reach these goals. What are those 3 things?
Absolutely. So these are just in general, you have to be poised. Okay. So poise is believing in yourself, right? Poise is how you carry yourself. How do you stand up and be strong and just be poised? The second one is being persistent. Do not give up. I want people to look to the inside for their happiness. Don't look at the environment. Don't look around, because if you look around and say, oh my goodness, it's stormy outside, it's such a bad day, right? And then you're going to have a bad day, because those bad thoughts lead to bad feelings. So I want you to start from the inside and be persistent and say, you know what, I can do anything. If Lakisha Simmons could be a millionaire from where she grew up, then surely so can I. That's what I want people to say. So be persistent and don't give up. And the third one is be prosperous. And with being prosperous, that means getting the education that you need. That you can take free online classes, watch YouTube videos, do what it is you need to do to get the free education. On my website, I have a blog that has tons of information, step by step, how I did everything. Go read the blog. Plenty of free information to help you on your way. And so be poised, persistent, and prosperous.
I like that alliteration too. And so briefly, before we get to questions, you're an analytics professor. I know that background probably prepared you very well for this transition. Am I right or no?
You know, the funny thing is, when I was growing up, I never thought I was good in math. I always failed my math classes. In high school math, it was the toughest. Freshman math, sophomore math, it took for me to change my mindset about numbers. And I hear people all the time say, oh, I'm not good with money. I'm not good with math. I'm not good with spreadsheets. That's because you've told yourself you're not good with it. But when you change your mindset and say, this is something I need to learn how to do, and I need to get good at it, period. Again, being persistent. And so that's what I did. I turned it around when I learned about college. When I learned that, oh my gosh, college, I want to go there. And I said, I have to do better in math because I have to take an entrance exam. And I buckled down and I did my best. And so, believe it or not, now I'm an analytics professor. Who would have thought? Because I always thought I was terrible at math.
I can identify. I used to think the same thing. And now I'm a financial journalist. I think that's kind of funny how it works out. And so on that note, you talk a lot about fear around money, specifically what women have, you know. And so what I know is that a recent personal capital and power retirement survey, it said 62% of single moms, they report not feeling confident about their ability to be able to plan for retirement. And that's compared to around 40% of folks overall. A lot of that has to do with fear. Like, what is your answer, your take on fear issues that women specifically have around money?
Oh, yeah, this is good because I want women to turn that fear around. And I get it. I understand why it's scary. I've been there. Okay. Especially going through that divorce, from growing up and then going through that divorce and feeling that heavy weight of it. So I understand fear, but I want you to just shift that mindset and know that fear is not from in you. Okay, that's the world. That's you looking at the environment. If you look inside yourself and you know what you are capable of, you have to put fear to the side. Okay, fear will hold you back. Look at me, a millionaire. I'm not an actress. I'm not a superstar. I'm not a singer. I'm not these things you associate with millionaires.
Right.
I'm a teacher because I saved and I invested and I kept at it. I was persistent. Got a side hustle, invested more. You can do it too. All right. I don't want women thinking that they can't do something. You can do anything. Please look at my story and see that there's nothing that I wasn't born with money. I don't come from money. I'm still working to get my mother out of the situation so that she can retire comfortably as well.
Okay.
So you can do it.
That's very good. And thank you for saying that. It's so many congratulatory and thank yous in the comments. They're saying, thank you so much. I needed to hear this. I needed to purchase your book. And I'm looking for a few questions. Well, one person says, is this all in your book? And maybe you can run through just briefly a couple of the things that I didn't mention that are in your book.
Yes, absolutely. So there is a section in there on money and budgeting, but the majority of the money stuff is just on my website on the blog. So, but it is in there. So I highly recommend getting the book because I'm teaching you the skill sets that you need to run a successful business, the skill sets that you need if you're in a workplace. How do you become a leader? Do you want a promotion? Do you want a raise? I teach you how to negotiate the raise. I teach you how to give your elevator pitch. Most people aren't doing it right just because they've never been taught. So I teach you how to succinctly, in 4 sentences, you have the perfect elevator pitch to get what you want out of someone when you meet them immediately. So things like how to dress for where you want to be. Don't dress for where you are. It doesn't matter what your position is today. If you want the corner office, you have to dress like the person in the corner office. So I teach you about what colors to wear. We had a debate in the book about heels or or flats.
Really?
Right? Yeah.
What was the result of the debate?
Well,
I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah. So I'll leave that up to you to decide, but I give
Okay.
you kind of the pros and cons of each. And so all of that is in the book. It's just all the soft skills really that we're not taught. No one, if you had a
Mm-hmm.
great mentor who was a leader, I love Oprah Winfrey. Okay, if
Yeah.
anybody knows Oprah, please connect me. But I always think, what
Me
would
too.
Lady O say? What would Lady O do? What would?
Really?
Yeah, I love her. In my
Okay.
mind, she is my auntie. And she actually went to the same undergrad college I went to, and I just look up to her so
Okay.
much because she's such a strong woman. And I look at her body language. If you've ever watched anything that Oprah does, look at her body language. Look
Hmm.
what she does with her hands, the way she crosses her legs, how she
Okay.
sits. And so all those things I've studied over time, all of that is in the book. All of
Okay.
that is in the book.
That's good. Okay. Well, we're about to wrap it up. What are your final words for people who are just starting this financial freedom journey?
Easy, easy, easy. This is what you have to, well, it's not so easy, but it's an easy statement for me to give out, but it takes some practice. I want you to shift your mindset from spending to saving to investing. So we've all been taught to save, right? Oh, we should save, we should save. It goes in one ear and out the other. Well, saving doesn't really grow your nest egg the way I was able to grow mine so fast. You have to make sure you save for emergencies, but
Mm-hmm.
then you have to invest. You
Mm-hmm.
have to invest in the stock market or invest in a business or invest in real estate. You know, maybe get a rental or buy a duplex, live in one side, rent the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think about how you can make your money work for you. And I wasn't taught that growing up. I had to learn that the hard way, right? There's several books that I read, many books. I have a book club, free
Mm-hmm.
to attend. You know, just
Okay.
rent the book from your library, borrow the book from someone, or if you have to, buy the book off Amazon. Or wherever you can get the book, and join us on the first Friday of every month at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time via Zoom book club, because this is where we talk about how you shift your mindset from spending to saving
Mm-hmm.
to investing.
Okay, that sounds good. And thank you so much. I think that's a great place to leave it. Lakisha Simmons, it's been a pleasure. And if you guys want to know more about Lakisha Simmons, you can check out her IG page or lakishasimmons.com.
Yes.
And I'm Renita Young. This has been Your Money Story on Quick Take. Have a lovely holiday weekend, everyone. Thank you so much for
Enjoy,
joining.
everyone. Bye. Thank you.